Hey guys, this is Masdouk, founder of TECHMA AI, where we provide CRM, data analytics, and AI automation services for businesses. If you have a business, you definitely need to have a CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management. It is a platform which will help you manage your customer information, be able to send them email, send them SMS, being able to see what are the different interaction your customer had with either your website, either your email, or if they click on an email or they open an email you have sent to them, and so on. Basically, it is a tool which is necessary for any business out there, small, medium business, or enterprise, in order for them to run smoothly the business. That's why in this video, we're going to talk about how you can build your own CRM from scratch using Zoho CRM without having any prior experience. Let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is go to the Zoho CRM website. So just type Zoho CRM. And then you can see, you can click on the first link, the second link, which is not an ad. From here, you can click on Get Started. And you can kind of enter your information in here in order to create the account. It's pretty straightforward. So just for this quick tutorial, let's create an account quickly as an example. And I can show you how the full process works from scratch. And then let's get started. So it's going to send me a message. Perfect. So I just created an account. It's pretty simple as that. And the first thing you will need to do is obviously put in your company name, right? So let's say in this case, I will call it demo. Let's just call it demo. And here, how many employees do you have? Let's say I only have one employee because we just get started. And here, the time zone, you can set up your time zone, the language, the currency which you want to use. If you want to load any sample data, you can also do that. In this case, I won't load anything. I'll just click Get Started. All right. Then you will see this, you will have this page where it kind of like more like a guideline of what you can do step by step to be able to set up your CRM. You don't need this, so I will just click skip in this case. And that brings me to this standard homepage of Zoho CRM. And you will notice one thing: if you are based in Canada, like me, you will see like the domain name here is zohocloud.ca, because that means your information is being stored within Canadian DC. But if you're not based in Canada and you are based in the US, for instance, it will be zoho.com and not zohocloud.ca. In order to keep this tutorial relevant, so instead of using the standard Zoho CRM, we're going to be using the Zoho CRM for everyone. If you haven't checked my previous video, which is kind of explaining what is the difference between Zoho CRM, the old Zoho CRM, and Zoho CRM for everyone, you should check it out. I'll put the link on the top here. That said, let's switch to Zoho CRM for everyone. Click on Access Now. It's possible that at the moment where you are checking or watching this recording, the Zoho CRM team probably already released fully Zoho CRM for everyone to all the user. You might not need to click on that button. Just keep that in mind. You will directly see the Zoho CRM page. So this kind of show you what is the difference between the Zoho CRM, the old Zoho CRM, and Zoho CRM for everyone. I won't go through this. We'll just click on skip the intro, and that brings us on the Zoho CRM for everyone page. When we are setting up Zoho CRM, what is important, and usually I notice that with some of my clients where they get overwhelmed when they start doing the setup, is because they like they start trying to use all the module automatically. All right. So when you are doing a setup, you need to choose what module will be relevant for your business. That's the number one thing. You don't want to like keep irrelevant module here. So basically those things here, we call them module. All right. So you don't want to keep any irrelevant module. If you think like this module doesn't speak to you, doesn't mean nothing to you, then don't keep it. You need to hide those modules basically. Obviously, you don't necessarily need to delete them. You can keep them, but hide them from the view so that anyone which log into your system or any of your employee or your user can user friendly kind of use your CRM without getting disturbed by irrelevant module, basically. So the first thing you will need to do is let's hide any module irrelevant here. So I'm kind of making this video more like general for anyone who want to set up a CRM, basically. So I'll make it pretty standard. It won't be very specific, like going to maybe a real estate industry or let's say a medical industry and so on. We'll just make it like general so that anyone who doesn't have any knowledge of how to use a CRM can understand how this works. So we'll keep those modules very standard. Obviously, you have the capability of updating anything you want on in the CRM. That is one of the biggest advantage of using Zoho CRM. So first thing to do, click on this icon here. So from there, you can kind of remove any irrelevant module. So once you just get started, typically you just need 4 main modules, right? You need the lead information, the lead module. You need the contact, account, and deal. Sometimes you don't even need the account module, and I will explain that in a moment. So, and we'll go through those main module, and then after we hide those irrelevant module which we don't need for a basic setup. Anyways, once you get started, you just need the minimum. It's basically what you need to get started and getting new lead and be able to follow up with them smoothly. That's what we are trying to do here. So first thing, let's hide any irrelevant module from here. So I can hide social. Obviously, we can keep social. Let's keep social just for fun here. Visit, we can keep it because we want to track the visit, right? And I will explain each of those modules in a moment. Forecast, once you get started, you don't necessarily need this. You can hide it. Solution, you can hide this one as well. So let's hide any irrelevant module. Cases, you can hide it. Vendors, let's hide it for now. Sales inbox, you can hide it. Invoice. So you want to keep it clean. Purchase order, you don't need it. Code, let's hide it as well. So we'll keep this one here. In product, we can also hide it for now. Sales order, same thing. And campaign, same thing. Price book, same thing. So let's keep this one here. So we keep the home page and all the other module. So then once you do that, you can click save. Obviously, if you think you need other modules, you can keep them. But in this case, just to explain what is really, usually the most important once you get started with building, with your CRM, once you just get started, you just need those minimum modules. So just click save and let's move on. Let's continue. So on the homepage, as you can see, this is the place where you will see, general information, right, regarding everything which is happening within your CRM. So maybe you want to see how many lead you currently have, how many lead has been generated during a week, how many lead has been generated during a month, and so on. Right? So you can see all of those information here. On the lead page, so this is the place where if you have someone submitting a form from your website, right, you want to push their information within the lead module because you haven't talked with them yet, right? You're still at the beginning of the sales process. So you want to start with the lead module. So after that, then if you talk with them, you send them an email or you call them and they say, yes, we are interested. In that case, then you can convert them, they become a contact. And there's different type of contact as well, which we'll explain in a moment. So you can have a lead. So a lead could just be an individual, right? Or it could also be a company, depending on if you are operating within a B2B business. So for instance, if I take my business where we provide consulting services for clients or services for businesses, so we deal with businesses, right? In that case, we have the main contact of that business. It could be the CEO. So the CEO information will be stored within the lead. In addition to that, there was going to be also the company information, like what is the company name will also be stored within the lead. So that once we're ready to move from lead to contact, then the contact information, that primary contact information will get transferred to the contact module, and the company information will get transferred to the account module. So basically, your contact is the place where you see the primary information. I mean, the primary contact information, first name, last name, email. We'll do an example so you can see how you can fill out those information as well in a moment. The account is the company information. So if the company name is TECHMA, we'll see there all the company, we'll see like all the details regarding that company information. So the website, how many employees they have, and so on. A deal, right? So once you move from lead to a contact, that comes with a deal, usually most of the time, because you want to create a deal to be able to track the next step of the sales process, right? So the deal means an opportunity. There is a real opportunity. If they are just under the lead module, that doesn't mean there is an opportunity because you haven't even talked with them. Even if you talk with them, maybe they haven't picked up. So there is multiple stages to the lead. So once the client say, yes, we are interested to move forward, then they become a deal, right? And that's what we call also opportunity in some cases, right? Depending on in which industry we are, within which industry we are doing the actual CRM setup, we can rename the deal something else. And obviously the task speaks to it by itself, right? The task, that's the place where you can track all the tasks, just as a reminder. The meeting, if you are planning to have a Zoom meeting or Zoho meetings with your client, all of them will be logged here. The calls, right? So you can integrate a VoIP system, right? A calling system with your CRM so that you can make call directly from the CRM. So whenever you get a lead, you can call them right away from the CRM. Instead of typing the number on your phone and call them manually, right? Which is not really efficient. And document, this is a place where you can see all the document which you have within your CRM. So you can upload document there and then attaching them to correspondent contact or lead within your CRM. Visit, this is in case you want to track the visit on the website, right? So you can connect your CRM with your website so that whenever someone go on your website, you can be noticed basically on within the CRM right away. So you will have like a place where here you will be able to see like if someone went on your website. So I haven't enabled this. Obviously, we just get started. So you can enable this if you wish, but to get started, you typically don't need that, obviously. Then social, this is in case you want to integrate with any social media platform, right? You want to integrate with Facebook, Instagram, all of those different social media. You want to see like when someone kind of sending you a DM, you want to see that right away within your CRM. So you can see Zoho Social. This is kind of integration with Zoho Social application, which is another Zoho application. We won't be talking about that today here. Same thing for Visit as well. Visit is like the Zoho Sales IQ application, it's kind of been powered by Zoho Sales IQ applications. That's why we don't want to get too much into those right now. I can, if you would like, you can put it within the comment. And if you want me to record maybe like a video on how you can set up Zoho Sales IQ or Zoho Social, I'll be happy to do that. Services, you don't need this one either. Most of the time in services is kind of interesting if you are planning to, charge people maybe per hours and all those kind of things. Like, that could be interesting. But in this case, most of businesses usually doesn't work that way. So you typically don't need this module to get started. So let's hide some of them. Actually, we can hide the visit, which we just talked about, because we don't really need this one either right now. and then let's save it. So service is still there. So just click on it. And then if you don't want this to appear within your module, just click do not show. And project, same thing, if you don't want to track any project. So this is powered by Zoho project, which is also one more time a Zoho application as well. It needs another Zoho application. So click on do not show this tab again. So now you only have the most relevant module which you need to build your CRM. The next step after that is, in addition to clean up, those irrelevant modules, the next step or the next thing you could do is go to the settings here. Zoho typically have some standard, settings, which kind of sometimes prevent you to be able to make changes to those modules sometime. So usually before we even start any setup, we delete any irrelevant settings or any irrelevant setup which was already there. So let's go to, there's one which is called Blueprint. So I can search for Blueprint here. So let's search for Blueprint. So you can see this is like we just created an account and there is those two blueprints which are there. So what I would do is I would delete those two because I want to have the full flexibility on what I'm doing within the system. So let's click delete here. We will delete both of them. Then you also have some time, I think it is called comment center as well. You can delete this. You don't need them. Once you get started, you can build yourself your own after, so you don't want to like have something which might not be really useful for you. So don't keep them, just keep things clean. You want to keep it as simple as possible. Rule number one, when you are building your CRM is really keep it simple, right? Very simple. So any employee which you hire or any existing employee can actually understand how that works and use it quite easily. So I think that's it. Once you delete all of those things which you don't need, I think you're good to go. You're good to get started. So the next step you want to do is start setting up the lead module, right? You want to make sure that you are actually putting the main field you need to track all the information you need on the lead, right? So if you have a form on your website, which I highly suggest to have a form on your website, obviously, and you can create that form using something like Webform here. So you can click on Webform, that will bring you to the Webform page. And you can create a new form directly from your CRM. So let's say I want to call it Contact Us form. And I need to mention in which module do I want the form to go into, the submission to go into. I will say the lead module, click create. And in here, I can put all the information I want the user or the potential client to submit when they go on this website or when they go on this form, basically. So we have the company, we have the last name. I can drag and drop the first name as well. Maybe I need the email as well, necessary. Maybe I need the phone number as well, right? So you can do that. And then I think I have everything I need. Obviously, you can adjust the width however you want. You can put some background color if you need to. I won't do that here. You can change the font if you don't like this current font, and then click next to go to the next page. And it will ask you what is going to be the location URL. Just put like, if you have a website, or even if you don't have a website, just put any link here. Any link there doesn't really matter. So I'll put my website link quickly. So let's put TECHMA AI there. So put it here and I can add it. So you can see it will be added here as a location URL. So that just means like on which website are you planning to add this form? And if you want to add any thank you page, you can put it there. You can enter, more information on this thank you page, or you can just redirect it to another URL if you would like to. So in this case, I will just use this one. And if you want to enable any of this, like notify lead owner, I won't get into this. If you want me to get into setting up, a proper form, we can really create a video on how to create a form, a very professional form using something like Zoho form. So this one is just to get started, right? So let's keep it this way and then click save. And then it will give you the source code, like which you can actually copy and put on your website. All right, so this is the source code. I can click done here. So I have now my, my web form, which I can use and embed it on my website, basically. So after that, the next step now is, as I said, is customizing basically those fields within the lead module. So you can just click on this three dot here. And when you click on this three dot, you will see there's a lot of option here. Just click on field, right? So if I click on field, it will bring me into that settings where I can actually customize anything regarding my lead module. So typically, I mean, when you are getting lead from maybe an external source, it is possible that that lead you might not know what is the company name, right? So usually I don't personally like to keep the company mandatory, except if you're pretty sure that every time you get a new lead, they will always come with the company name. All right. So if you are doing integration with, let's say, an AI tool or make.com as an example, and someone is sending you, maybe you have like a lead generation company, which is sending you lead to your CRM, and they are forgetting, for instance, to enter the company name. They're just sending like the first name, last name, maybe the email, and you have that company name field mandatory, those leads won't come in. Just keep that in mind. It's really important to make sure that you only like keep something mandatory if you're pretty sure that you can always fill out that field. The next step, which I typically do, is basically I like to create what I call system field here. I rename this system field, and I can put like all the field which is considered as system field, which I won't be using that much, right? So in this case, it's typically like the email opt-out, the modify date or time. Twitter, usually, I mean, I don't keep it. You can remove them. Just keep it clean. I mean, if you think you might have like a lead which has 2 emails, you can keep it, but in most of the time, we typically delete it. So Skype ID. So anything you don't need here, just clean them up, right? So in here, I'll keep this one here, and we'll delete rating. No need. Just to get started, let's just delete this. Fax, who use fax nowadays, right? So just delete it. Industry, I mean, if it is quite important for you, you can keep the industry. Most of the time, it might not be necessary for you. Annual revenue, not necessarily most of the time either. So I'm just deleting anything which I don't need here, right? And let's assume one more time, this is really for a general setup, right? We are not doing it for a specific industry. When you are building your CRM most of the time, you will be doing it specifically for your business and for your industry, and you can customize it however you want. So I'm giving you a general structure, a framework on how you can actually build your own CRM no matter in which industry you are, right? So the same logic which I'm showing here can apply for any other industry. So then I have the lead owner. So we want to know who is going to be managing that lead, who is going to be calling that lead. So the lead owner is important. I don't think most of the time you don't need the lead image, because like, what do you want to do with the image? Except if you are in an industry which require that, then that's fine. But in this case, I will just turn this off. And usually I like to keep this as a double column. So because it's going to be showing, something nicely, the design will be nicer. And in here, I can bring my description here. The description is just like a field where you can add more information. Let's say you have the form on the website and someone is submitting that form and they are putting a message. Usually you want to put that message maybe as a description so that you can review it, or you can add it as a note within your lead module, which I will show in a moment as well. Then you want to keep like first name, last name. You can reorder however you want. What is important here is reorder it based on the important structure which you think your company has to follow. Right? Then the next step will be in here. I like to put some color, right? So when you know that this system, you will be using it like all the time, and this is to manage your customer. Obviously, you will be talking with your customer all the time, sending them email, SMS, and so on. It is quite important that it's nicely done, right? The color, all of those design need to be taken in consideration. That said, that's why in here, you usually click on this three dots, click edit property. And from here, you can kind of customize it, right? So this lead source is quite an important field. So usually I like to enable color picking for this. And you can remove anything which is unnecessary. I mean, if you don't have any cold call as a lead source, why do you need to keep it? All right, so just remove it if you don't need it. All right, so I usually, like when I review CRM, I see a lot of people making that mistake, kind of trying to keep everything as the way they come when they created the account. You don't need to do that. You need to keep whatever you need to make your, you need to set up the CRM such a way that it could make your process, it could fit your process. That's the right term. All right, so that is quite important to understand. So if you don't need anything here, just delete it. Public relation, maybe you don't need that, just delete it. And you can click done. Do the same thing basically for all those pick lists. Column, add some nice color so that will look nicer whenever you are viewing basically your CRM. So the next field, which is really important, is the lead status. You want to make sure that based on how you reach out to those leads, you want to set up those lead status to fit your exact process, right? Most of the time, you will start with not contacted, right? Because once the lead comes in, it will be not contacted. And then you will try to contact them, right? So that's the attempt to contact. So we can keep that. Maybe the lead, once you reach out to them, they say, call us back in a few days or a few weeks. So you will have like contact in the future. And usually I don't like contacted. I usually change it to interested, because that way we can know exactly like, okay, we call this lead, are they interested or not? And usually you can even customize the color. So I like this option where you can really say, okay, if they're interested, it's going to be in green. If they're not interested, it's going to be in red, right? So this is interested, and you will have junk lead, obviously, in case there's some spam. And sometimes you could also have lost lead. So I like to put it in red, because for some reason the lead could say, yeah, I'm not interested. And there's going to be a reason behind it, right? So obviously you need to ask why, you are not interested, in kind of documenting that reason, right? So then pre-qualify, you might not need it. If you need it, you can keep it. If you don't need it, you can kind of like, usually you have the option to just rename it. So not qualified, you can rename it however you want. But in this case, you can see here, this is considered as not qualified. You cannot really change it, but I could like rename it however I want if I want to consider this status, right? But anything else which I don't need, I can kind of remove it, right? So let's say pre-qualified, I don't need it, I can remove it as well. And that's it. So it's just a matter of like adding those different stages which you need to be able to track properly how the lead process works within your business. Usually the other thing I like to do is putting a default value as not contacted. So that way, whenever a new lead is created from a form, it automatically assigns the status as not contacted. And also I like to track the history, the different history of those stages, right? So I want to know, okay, from at which state, at which time did we move from maybe like not contacted to attempt to contact? I want to see if people are actually working within the company. If those sales team, if I have a sales team is actually doing the work. So in those cases, I will just enable tracking history and show all the different fields which I want to display, right? Click done, and then click done basically here. And that's it. So that's how you set up basically the different field within your lead module. In addition to that, you have the option on quick create. So typically this one is being used when you are trying to, let's say, create a lead from another module, right? So that means you want to use the option of quick create. So usually you just want to keep the main general information you need here. So we just leave it at this, which is already good. Then you have the business card where you can actually display right away some relevant information, which is interesting, right? So you can keep like the email, phone, mobile status. Status is good to keep because that way, right away, whenever they open the lead, they can see what is the status of that lead. or you can see what is the status of that lead. And from there, anything here, this is what we call related list. If there's any related list here which might not be necessary to you, you can remove them. Like checklist, for instance, usually you don't want to keep this. It's completely irrelevant, except if you're using something like Blueprint, that could be interesting. But to get started, you don't need that one. And usually I like to reorder this to make sure that it makes sense, right? So once you have your lead, the first thing you typically do is sending them an email. So it makes sense to put the email first after the note, obviously. And then attachment, usually I like to keep it completely down because it's pretty rare that like you'll have a lead coming in with attachment. Obviously, if you have it, then you can move the attachment to the top or wherever you want. So you have the capability of reordering all of those things. I want to keep open activity, close activity, inviting meetings. Cadence is very similar to email. I usually want to keep it because like I want to be able to say, okay, whenever the new lead comes in, if at some point the lead say, you know, we are not interested, maybe I want to trigger a campaign or like a sequence of email, which I want to send to them, right? To make sure that like, okay, if they say they are not interested, maybe like 2 years from now, they might be interested. So I will have an automation kind of triggering that campaign and sending to them at some frequency based on the different action they are going to be performing on that email. But in this case, if you want to keep it simple, in reality, you might not need it at the beginning, so you can just remove it if you think you don't need it as well. And then just click save and close here. So that will kind of just create, you know, finalize your lead page. And then you do the same thing as we just did for the other module, right? So you will do the same thing for the contact, the same thing for the account. So let's click on the contact in this case, in field, and we will do the same thing basically. So usually you don't need like 2 addresses. So like the other street and all of these things, you can kind of remove them, except if you are in within another tree which require 2 address, maybe a shipping address. In that case, you can keep it. So if you require a shipping address, whenever you have like a prospect, then that could be interesting to keep. If not, just delete those fields which is not necessary to you. The description field, I can move it up here and I can rename this one again system field. All right, and then I can bring like the created by, modified by, and any irrelevant other field, just delete them. Basically, this one is a system field. I can put it here. You know, in here, most of the time in contact, you have so many fields which is not being used. I noticed that a lot based on my experience with building CRM for clients. So, I mean, home phone, you don't need it. If you already have 2 phones, phone and mobile, I think it's largely enough. Except if you are like, I don't know, a very, very big company, an enterprise company, then that could be useful. But if not, you might not need all of those fields. Just remove them if you don't need them, basically. So date of birth. I mean, you can keep this one in case you wanna like send them happy birthday at some point. You know, for your client, you can keep that. You can keep that for that. Department, be necessary. And vendor name, I mean, we don't have the vendor module enabled, so we don't need that. We can remove it as well. So the reported to, you don't need that most of the time as well, so you just remove it. So you have phone, mobile, description. The account, as I was mentioning, is the company name, right? So we can keep that. Of course, we need to keep that necessarily. I don't have the profile. I can disable that. First name, last name, account, perfect. And anything irrelevant here, I can remove it. I just move this one to the top. Cadence, I remove it from the other lead module section, so I can remove it from here as well. Deal is quite important. In case I have a deal with that contact, I need to see it right away there, so I will keep it there. Attachment, move it below. Checklist, no needed, so I can hide it as well. Then save and close. So I just finished with that contact module setup, right? So it's that simple, right? Setting up a CRM. Then you do the same thing for the account. So you go to the field, same logic. where like you do the same logic. I mean, if you don't need those shipping address, just delete them. Why will you keep them if you don't need them? So rule number one more time. I'm repeating myself, but it is quite important. If you know some fields are not necessary for your business, don't keep them, and keep things simple. So let's call this one more time, system field here. Then let's move to the description. Let's move anything which is considered as a system field below here. So this one, most of the time you don't need them, so just delete them. Ownership, same thing. Ticket symbol, and you can keep it in case you have a lot of you know, coded business. I mean, like business who are coded on the stock market, right? So in those cases, you can keep them. Facts get deleted, no need. Rating, same thing as well here. Account type, account number, parent account. So parent account is mainly like when you have, you know, some cases you could have like could have a potential client which has a head office, you know, and then below that company, then there's other companies, right? So with multiple branches, right? So then you can use the parent account in those cases, but it's pretty rare. Not for all businesses. Most of the business doesn't have that. So you can, in this case, since we want to keep it simple, we can hide that. So you have the account name, the site name, you can keep that. Account type, so in this case, one more time, I can put some nice color here, so we can have different type of account. And this is a pick list, so I like to put some color there. Industry as well, you can put some nice color in case you want to keep it. In this case, I don't really need it because I didn't keep it within the lead module, so I don't need to keep it here. So that's the other thing, right? So you'll have to think like whenever you are moving data from lead to contact or in potentially to account, you don't want to lose some information, right? So all of the field which you had within, let's say, that lead module need to get transferred to the next module, either contact, account, or deal, right? So if there's a field which were in the lead and you deleted it, I mean, you don't need that field to stay within the account. So that's a good example there, which I just deleted. So account, I can hide it. I don't need it, except if I want to put the company logo, that's fine. I can do that. But in this case, let's keep it simple. Account, phone, website, perfect. In this one, we want to see within the account, what are the different contacts which we had, right? So that's why the structure there is important. That's what we call related list. The deal, we want to see from that account, what are the different deal we have, right? So that's why we have the deal right away there. The email is quite important, so we'll move it up. Attachment, let's move it down. And checklist, we don't need it, we can remove it. So that's really the typical structure which I use almost for all my clients. Whenever we're building a CRM for them, then we customize it based on the specific industry. Then save and close. All right, so that is done for account. The next module, the next important module is deal. So deal is a bit similar to lead module, right? So in here, like you will keep the deal name, account name, quite important. So if you are not like a B2B business, you are just a B2C, then you don't need the account module, right? You can literally hide the account module. That means across all the other module, you should not have account name or anything. You can just delete them because you're only dealing with contact, primary contact, right? You don't need to track the company information. You are not dealing with the company. So in that case, the account name is completely irrelevant. So in some time you could have like, you can be doing both, right? Dealing with businesses, but also individual. In that case, the account name should not be made as mandatory. Obviously, you can anytime bring it back as required if you want. But in this case, I usually like to keep it not mandatory. Closing date, this is important. I'll usually make it not mandatory because I only want to put the closing date after the deal has been closed. I mean, if you want to always make sure that you put an estimated closing date, that's fine. but most of the time I just want to keep it that way. The stage, you can put stage probability, where in here you can make sure that you enable the color, which is already done. And you want to one more time, similar to what we did for the lead status within the lead module, you want to make sure that we customize those different stages. And this is quite important. So let's say you have a lead say, yes, I'm interested to move forward. And then that lead get converted, right? You create a contact, you create an account, and then a deal also get created. Usually the immediate next step of that deal will be qualification stage, right? And then from that stage, then, okay, after the qualification, what happened? Maybe you guys have to do analysis. You can update this if you think this doesn't fit your business process. You can rename it and change it, put anything you want there. Then you can say, okay, value proposition, then until you go to negotiation, and then maybe you won the deal or you lost the deal. Usually I don't like to keep this option here because I already have close lost, and you have a field where in case you lose, that field will display and will ask you what is the reason of that loss. And you can choose, the different reason of the loss reason, right? Basically. So I'm just going to keep it like this here and just click done. And you see here, you have the reason for loss. You can click on the 3-dot edit property if you want to put some color there as well. So just put enable color. Usually I always like to put some color because that makes things nicer and easy to view, right? Contact name is important. Let's move it up. Type is also good because we can see if this is a new deal or if this is an existing deal, right? So I like to put some color there as well. Probability. So the probability is just like how close are you to close the deal, So if you're at 100 probability, that means the deal has been closed. If you are like, I don't know, like 10% probability, that means you have potentially maybe less chance of closing that deal. So that is how probability works. And that helps you estimating what is the expected revenue, right, from that deal. So if you are having a deal which is 10,000 and then your probability is 10%, obviously your expected revenue in that case is 1,000, right? That's how that works. The campaign source, this is in case this deal has been generated from a campaign you have performed. For this example, we don't need to keep it. We can keep it simple. And let's have one more time our same structure. So system field here and bring all of those system field down. Now move the description up. Next step, we can keep it. And quick create. So usually I like to have deal name first. Obviously you have to put the deal name. What is the amount of the deal? And even putting the account name and putting the company name, the contact name as well. In case, depending on which industry one more time you are in, you might just want to keep one of this or both of them. The amount, we want to put the stage, and then what is the closing date. And in here, we want to keep this. Obviously you can customize the business card. If you want to put like, deal owner, stage maybe down, expected revenue. If you don't need that, you can delete it basically. And this is where it is important. You want to reorder all of those related lists to make sure that like it's actually follow the process which you want. Competitor, not necessary. Remove that. Stage history, I like to keep it because I want to see, at which moment did we move from qualification, maybe to need analysis and so on. Cadence, one more time. We haven't keep it within the lead, then we can delete it from here as well. Contact row is just like the list of the contact, right? Because on a deal, you could have multiple contacts on a deal. So that contact row will help you track who are those contacts, which is part of that deal, basically. Checklist, one more time. We don't need that. Attachment, we'll bring it completed down. Stage history, this is perfect. Then save and close. All right, then you have the task module, you have the meeting. You don't need to do anything there. The design, the customization is already there. You can play with it if you want, but most of the time it's pretty straightforward. Call, same thing. So for the call, you can integrate a telephony system if you would like. Let's say one of the most popular one is RingCentral. So you can use it to make call directly from your CRM. So click on integrate telephony in that case, and that will bring you on this page here where you can choose whoever, telephony system you want to use. Let's say I'm just going to search for RingCentral, and then I can choose RingCentral and then install it. It's quite pretty straightforward to do. And obviously you need to have a RingCentral account to be able to connect it properly with your CRM. So that's when it comes to the telephony side of things. For the meeting, you can use, if you have Zoho One as a platform, that means you have access to Zoho Meeting. So you can basically integrate Zoho Meetings with your CRM. So when it comes to Marketplace, that's the place where you can see, install anything like which could be necessary for you in order to, like, you can see that as additional feature, additional functionality you are adding to your CRM in case they are not already available publicly yet, right? So let's do a text together and see how this CRM works now. So I have a new lead comes in from the form which we just created. I will just assume here I'm creating the lead manually, right? So just put information, put myself, information, can put company name, right? And then any other information like the phone number, the mobile, you just put all of them. Let's source, you can see we have a nice color. Since we choose not contacted as default, then it default to this. If I want to change it, I have the option to change it anytime. In this case, you can put the address as well, state, the country, whatever information I need, I'll put it here, right? City and zip code. Then click save, and that will show you basically your lead details. Obviously, this is the standard page, right? This is really the lead standard page. You have the option to use what we call canvas, right? Which will kind of help you make the design looks very nice in terms of how you want the lead page to looks like. We won't get into that because that could take we can do a full video on that. So we won't get into that. But if you want to create your own custom detail page, you have the option to do that here by clicking on create a custom record page. So on this lead, obviously, if I have the email, I can put the email information here. Let's just put my email information there. Put the email information. And usually you have what we call enriched data, which is quite useful with nowadays. We are, within the AI area, AI automation and those kind of things. So I think having like that enrichment functionality is quite necessary, right? So to enable that, just go to the settings and you can go to, let me search for enrichment, data enrichment. Click on data enrichment. Right now, it's not enabled for any of those modules yet. So I can click on new enrichment and then I can enable it, right? So in this case, I can use either ZIA as the web scraping, or I could use another option, which is like Web Amigo extension. So in this case, let me just choose the lead module and I will use the information regarding the organization in this case, right? Which is going to be using the ZIA is Zoho Intelligence Artificial, right? So that's really how the Zoho strategy of dealing with AI and incorporating AI within all the tools. I'm actually planning to record a video on everything related to the AI when it comes to Zoho environment. So let's click next here. You can choose, okay, based on the company, based on the email, and based on the website, find me more information on that lead, right? Then click confirm, and that will do this, and then you can click save. All right, so you're good to go. So now we have enabled the data enrichment for the lead module. So going back to the lead module here, so this is my lead, click on it. Then if I click on the three dot here, I will be able to see in case it is available, right? So you can see enrich data option here. I can click on enrich data and the system will be able to automatically give me more information on that company, right? So obviously it seems like it's kind of, I don't know where it finds this domain name, but this is not like the actual website, it's subdomain. But yeah, I mean, it's almost close, right? So it kind of give you an example of the description of the company and stuff like that. And you can click update if you want to use that information to update your system. Obviously, there's other tools which with AI nowadays will integrate additional tool for our clients, where whenever a new lead comes in, we can automatically enrich the data without having to click on a button on Zoho to make that happen. That has been done automatically. All right, so we have that functionality, that option to the option to build that as well. And the related list, which we already talked about, also is on the left side here, where you can create, like you can send the email from the system, click send email. But before you do this, it is quite important, obviously, to integrate your email with the CRM, right? If you want to be able to send an email and see if people actually open the email, they responded, and so on. So in this case, what I would do is we need to set up the email. To set up the email, go to the settings one more time here and search for email. All right, so you have email configuration, click on it. That will bring you to the email section here. Click get started. And from there, you can just choose whatever client email you are using. So if you're using Gmail, just choose Gmail. If you're using Outlook, choose Outlook. Let me choose Gmail just for this example. Configure. I'll probably open my Gmail account here. This is just a basic test account. So continue. And then I want to enable giving Zoho all the access which it need. Click continue here. And that just integrated my Gmail with my CRM. So you can integrate any email client which you would like. So if you're using Zoho Mail, you can also do that by doing the exact same thing I just did. In addition to that, if you want, like if you have a sales team, you want to make sure that they share, should not be private to them. It should be shared with everyone within the organization. So you can click share and then click close. If you want to exclude, let's say if they receive some email from personal email, you don't want that to be shared within the system. You can put like domain name, which doesn't need to be considered with the synchronization. So you have the option to do that as well. Click update. You can create organization email as well. So let's say you have info@yourdomainname.com, which is organization email, and everyone needs to use it within the organization. You have the option to create it from here. So email deliverability, very, very important. So if you have your own domain name, make sure that you authenticate your domain name to avoid your email to go to spam, right? So that's quite important if you're using your own domain name here. So now added like the email credibility to see if your email are going mostly to spam or not. So this help you understanding, how your deliverability works. Email intelligence, really important. You want to make sure that this is enabled, right? So that you can see whenever someone open your email, if they click on a link and so on. So that's regarding the email. So since we just integrated our email, I can go back to my lead and then send an email. If I click send email, so let's see, you have sent you an email. Okay, this is because I haven't confirmed the email they have shared with me actually. So you need to confirm when you create your account, make sure that you confirm the actual email the Zoho have shared with you. So this was just a basic email I created as a test. So let's go to the junk email. So this is the email. So I will just click verify email, visit the link to verify my email, verify. Now my email is verified. So now I should be able to send email from the CRM. So go back here and click send email. So now you have the pop-up option automatically, opening. And then you can kind of type your email here. And Zoho also have the ZIA, which can help you write some email as well. And if you already have a template, you can obviously create email template already in the backend. Click on insert template to kind of choose template directly, right? So that's how it works. You can put a subject, put a content here, whatever you want, and you will be able to send that email right away from the CRM. So once the email has been sent, you will be able to see all those emails logged here. So let me do actually an example here. So let's put Masdouk. Hey, this is a test, and let's send it. So that is been sent. You can see the email just get logged here automatically. Right? I can click on it to view the email which has been sent right away. You can view the activity which happened on the email if there's an activity. Right now there's no activity. So if someone click on the email, open the email, I can see all those activity happening there. So now I talk with that person. The person say, yes, I'm interested. I would like to move forward. So the next step will be converting, right? I can click on convert here. And this will create a company because I put a company name to be TECHMA, right? And we'll create the main contact information within the contact module. And then if I want to create an opportunity or a deal, I can click on create a new deal. And this will display, if you remember, the structure of quick create, which we set up when we were setting up the deal module. So you can say, okay, maybe the deal here is 1,000 and the stage could be qualification. What is the closing date? Maybe I could close this deal by February 28. And I want to say, okay, who I'm actually dealing with. I'm actually dealing with a developer or a decision maker right now, part of the deal. I can choose that contact role there and click convert. So once that happened, if I go back to the lead, now I don't have any lead left because the lead get moved to the deal module so that they can now focus on trying to close that deal. So that means that person is not just a basic lead anymore. We already contacted them and they manifested their interest. Right now they are like on the deal stage. So in here, now we can see we have the contact information and then we have the account here as well. Typically, I like to add things like, account type and a contact type, for instance. And then within the account type, you can have two types of account. One which is, prospect, and another one which is just customer, right? So in here, I can say this person is a prospect. And usually I will kind of remove all of the other one and just keep prospect and customer, because those are the main one which I need typically. Like, you don't need other account type. If you are tracking vendor, for instance, you can just use the vendor module to track them. And same logic for the contact. So within the contact, if I had a field called contact type, or if I don't have it, I can add it, right? So actually, let's add that field so you can see how you can add your own field within the system if it's not already there. So let me add a field which is a pick list. We'll drag it here and call it contact type. And we'll put as an option prospect as well and customer. You can put color since it is a drop down. Customer, put it in green and save and close. So that way, within my contact, I can basically add my contact type to be prospect because they are not client yet, they are not customer yet. All right, so they're still on the first level of contact. So maybe like you can see you have 2 levels. Sometimes you can see you have 3 levels. So the 2 level could be prospect, contact. Maybe if it is 3, sometimes you can have recurring customer, right? Sorry, prospect, customer, or recurring customer, right? So if you want to track how many times they have order from you. So it's really depend one more time on your process, but this is really a general setup for any business out there. So now within the deal, so we have this pipeline, right? Because this is what we set up. However, we have the option to customize this. I don't like the fact that everything is in the same color. So usually what I would do is I will click on this option here, edit Kanban view. And here it's say monocolor, just put it as multicolor. That way we'll use different color for each of those modules, for each of those stage. And you can aggregate that by the amount. You want to see the deal name first, maybe the qualification after, the account name. The deal owner might not be necessary, but if you have obviously many seller or many sales rep, this could be interesting to keep. The amount is important. Then click save. Now you can see all those stages now have different, color, which is nicer. And then if you are using, which is recommended if you are within the deal module, you typically definitely want to use the Kanban view, which you can use it to drag field from one stage to another. And every time you do that, you can have automation in the backend, kind of sending email, sending SMS, a bunch of things in the backend, right? So I will show you also in a moment how you can actually set up an automation whenever you perform an action from, let's say, any module in the CRM. So to do that, just click on these 3 dots. You will see layout rule. Actually, no, you will see workflow rules. Click on workflow rule. That will bring you to the rule page. Then you can say, okay, this rule, I want to set it up on the deal. So let's use the deal. Say send email once lead is under qualification. All right, something like that. click next. Then you need to choose an option. So let's say whenever a new deal is being added. All right, so let's say when a record is being added, you can say create as an option. You have other options, but in this case, I just use when it is created. I want an action to be triggered. I want an automation to be triggered. So in this case, I would say maybe for all the deal, maybe not just for one specific one. If it is for one specific one or for some specific deal, I could mention the criteria here. But in this case, I want to apply it to all new deal which just get created. Click done. And then I have a bunch of options here. This is where Zoho is really cool because you'll have the full flexibility on customizing, like you can even use custom function, which is writing code in Zoho using Zoho proper programming language. You can send webhook. So if you want to connect it with, let's say, an AI tool, you can send a webhook to make and trigger automation from there and so on. There's so many things, so many options you can actually do in Zoho environment. Then I want to send a notification in this example, which we are seeing together here. I can use an existing email notification if I want to, or I can create my own email notification. Let's just call it test. I want to choose who I'm sending this to. So I want to send this to the contact associated to that deal. So I'll just choose their email. I will choose the template if there's a template. So there's already a template here. I can preview it if I want to. Or I can create my own template if I would like to. I can click on create template, but in this case, just for this exercise, I just choose an existing one. And I can choose the reply to or from address. And here you can choose like whatever email address you want. Save and associate and save. That's pretty much it. Very, very simple and straightforward on how you can actually send or create automation from the CRM right away. Using the existing functionality of the CRM without having to, let's say, make.com as an example to trigger those automation. Everything can be done right away from the CRM. So until the deal is closed. So once the deal is closed, you move it close one, and then you have the option to validate. Did you really close the deal at 1,000? And the date get choose based on the existing date which you had put as closing date. So if you are closing the deal today instead of 28 February, make sure that you are choosing the updated closing date. Click save. Once that happens, click on the deal itself, and then you can see the history. How did we move everything from one state to another? This is really, really cool because that helps you know, okay, how long did it take from going from the qualification stage until the close one stage of that deal. This is a useful things to know, a useful feature to have, right? Then obviously you can schedule tasks. You have the option here. Let's say you want to plan like a call, or you want to schedule a meeting. You want to, create a reminder for yourself to call a potential, let's say, client back, after the deal has been closed. You can do all of those by creating tasks, right? So you can say reminder, a recall, and you can create workflow as well in order for the system to remind you automatically instead of doing that manually. So let's say I want to just create a reminder for myself to ask for feedback. I can put the due date here. I can put the, this is a hires. And I can even set up a reminder, within the system as well. I can click reminder. I want this, if I forget to do this task, I want this system to remind me on maybe, February 16 I can choose more dynamic option if I want to here as well. So click done and click save. So that will create a reminder activity for you here. A feedback activity here, so that, at that time, before that time, or depending on when you put the reminder at, the system will automatically remind you. You can have a pop-up here displaying, saying, you need to ask for feedback to this client. You can even do the same thing which I just did using automation. And we won't get into this because when you just get started, you want to make sure that you have everything you need to get started. Then you can add more automation, more functionality from there. The last other thing you need is, remember, if you're already using you were using spreadsheet, which is possible if it is the first time you're actually dealing with a CRM, maybe you were using a spreadsheet like Google Sheet or Excel and so on. In those cases, that means you need to import data within the system. All right, to do that, just click on this drop down here, click import lead, and you can just download a sample. Usually I recommend to download a sample, so that way you can have the exact structure of how you should be structuring your lead information before importing it. So I have a sample. What I will do is I will browse now, and I will just import that sample data into my system. Click next. Then if it is the first time you're actually doing an import, that means you don't have any lead yet, all right? But if you already have some lead information, make sure that you are using both. So that way you can make sure that you don't have you are not having any duplicate situation. So you can say, okay, I want to avoid duplicate by checking the email, existing email from that lead module doesn't match actually with the one you are importing, so to avoid duplicate. So the system will check if there's any match. If there's match, then it won't import the new value, or we just update the new value. But if there is no match, then it will import it. So click next, and from there you can do all your mapping however you want, and click next again, and then just click yes, continue, and finish. You also have the option to trigger automation as well if you like, but this is pretty rare. You will be doing this, except you want to send mass email right away, which you have the capability of doing from the CRM as well. Let's say click finish, and it will just take like maybe a few moments, maybe, yeah, here you go. So it's already imported. So let's refresh this to see if the lead just came in. You can see automatically the lead came in, right? And you can see all your lead get imported right away. I mean, so that's how it works. So next thing you want to do is customizing your homepage. You don't want to have like something which might not be necessary to you. So if you are having a homepage just because you want to keep what Zoho has, put it there without customizing it to fit your actual process, that is a big mistake. You want to make sure that you're actually putting or using the right, you are just putting there the right information you need to see. If you don't need to see deal, don't keep it there. So in that case, what I would usually recommend is create your own homepage. So click on that, click on new homepage. So in here, you can just call it like however you want. I would just call it homepage basically. And then we already have some, Zoho usually come with some KPI, which were already created. So you don't need to manually create all of them. Obviously, you can create your own after if you would like to, and then adding them to this dashboard. So let me just use, in this case, some of those, KPI which were already created. So in this case, we have lead this month. We just imported the lead, 3 leads. So that's why it's kind of showing 3 lead this month, which is good. And then if there's any other information which I care about, I can add it here as well. Maybe the deal in pipeline, I can put it here. The lead by source, if I want to see the source, I can put it here. I can drag it here. I can move things around however I want. Right? The custom view is if I want to see like all those lead, are based on specific filter. I want to see some list of lead, then I can bring it here as well. So usually I'll put this one below. So you have the full flexibility on dealing with on the design of your dashboard. In this case, I'll just move it here so it can be very big so we can see quite easily. If I want to add more things, I can go to any other module, maybe like to the dashboard back, choose any other dashboard, lead analytics, for instance, today lead, maybe, this one, and what else can we add? Maybe top owner. Okay. Then this one here, I can reduce it, all right, and move it here so that you can have a nice design for our dashboard. Then once that is good, I can save and I can share with whoever I want. Maybe I just want to share with the CEO, with the manager as well. I can do that. Just click save, and that gives you your new homepage. So if you go back here, you are still seeing the old one, but you can switch to the new one which you just created, which is this one, which is nicer, which is maybe fitting exactly what you would like to see within your dashboard. So you always have to customize those things. If you think, if what Zoho proposed, automatically created doesn't doesn't fit your need, make sure that you update that and you customize it. When it comes to my job, this one I completely forget to remove it, but you have the option to remove this one as well. Just click on this option there and you can delete, remove my job. So you don't need that most of the time. You just keep things clean and that's it. So this is quite a long video, kind of like, because I try to go in as much detail as we can to cover most of the thing when you are doing a Zoho CRM setup. So this covers everything from scratch on how you can actually set up your system to at least get started. We haven't covered in details automation, but if you would like me to cover that, just add a comment into the chat, into the comment section, and I'll be happy to create a video, more details, which give you more details on how you can build automation, and also how can probably like integrating that with AI tools and so on. So I hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I enjoy creating this video. If you do, please subscribe, like, and share with anyone who might be interested in learning more about Zoho CRM. Thanks so much, and have a good day. Peace.